Hi, good evening, good morning, Rodrigo.
Hey, how's it
Can you
going?
hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Uh, it's going well. How's it going with you?
it
I'm
goes
so
great.
sorry for the delay. There's some network issue from my side.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all.
Yeah. If you could give me a second, I'll uh, send a request to our other participants today.
Cool. Perfect.
So I've sent her an invitation. I'm sure she'll be joining in a
Yeah, how are
second.
things? Where
So,
where are you based out of?
um, So, how well do you know India? I'm sorry, just a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
I am in this place called Durgapur, which is in West Bengal.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been to New Delhi and Bangalore, Mumbai, more than a couple times. So, it's been
Right.
a
So,
while. It's
you
been a while
probably,
though. It's been a while.
I just actually saw my friend from Connecticut off 2 days ago who was here traveling the country. It was a fun time. But I mean, let me quickly introduce you to our audience as we wait for Shelley. So today we have Mr. Rodrigo Malta. I hope I'm not butchering your name.
No, you're good. You're good.
Perfect. So we have Mr. Rodrigo Malta, who's Managing Director of MBA Recruiting and Admissions at the University of Texas at Austin, at the McCombs School of Business. And I'm sure our students here are waiting to have a very exciting and informative evening with you. Uh, and I think we have our other joining here as well now. The internet seems to be a little wonky from my end today.
It's It
One of the
took me a
ongoing
little,
problems.
yeah, it took me just a little bit of
Mhm.
time to join, so maybe if we give Shelly a couple minutes.
Yeah, yeah. So it might be the issue might be on my end because there's some ongoing network issue for the last couple of days. It's monsoon in Bengal, which means the weather conditions are not conducive to the internet occasionally. I'm so sorry for that.
No worries. Hi, Shelly.
Ah,
Good.
Hi, how's it going?
Shali, hi, I'm so glad you've been able to join us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yes,
So, yeah, thanks for
I'm
inviting
sorry
us.
for the delay. I was just telling Rodrigo how there's a little bit of an internet lag from my end. I'm in India in a small town. It's monsoon. It's a whole thing. So apologies again. For our audience, we have Shelley Heinrich. She is Associate Dean at MBA Admissions and Director of Marketing at Georgetown University, the McDonough School of Business. And it's going to be a fun, chatty evening ahead, I hope, for all of us. I cannot see you, Shelley. Can you see Shelley,
I
Rodrigo?
can see Shelly.
Um,
So in my screen, I show the three of us together. So you on top, and then
yeah,
Shelly and I side by side.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, myself as well.
right. Again, it's probably an issue from my end, but no worries. We'll flow on anyway. So before we go any further, I realize I haven't introduced myself. I'm Urbi Chatterjee. I work with Reach IV in the capacity of an editor of resumes and SOPs for students who are applying to your universities and others like yours. Um, so my role essentially is helping them sort of improve their essays, fine tune them in a way that puts their stories forward in the most appealing and interesting manner. It helps them show their best sides forward. That's what I do. That's how I help. And yeah, let's get the ball rolling, shall we? On this chat. Um,
Sounds great.
yeah.
Great.
So the first thing we'd all love to know about both, McDonough School of Business as well as McCombs is a little bit about the universities. The history, the location. Just walk us through what makes your universities great?
Awesome. Shelly, do you want to go first? I can go. All right,
You
all right.
can go.
So,
Go ahead.
hi everybody. My name is Rodrigo Malta. I've been working here at the University of Texas at Austin for the past 15 years, and I love my job. Shelly and I have been colleagues for a long time, so it's great to be here with you, Shelly. So, a little bit about the University of Texas. So, we are the flagship university for the state of Texas, which is a very big state in the U.S. And we are the biggest source of talent for a great state. The university itself is located in the city of Austin, which also is the capital city for the state. And there is this great symbiotic relationship between the university and the city of Austin. They grew up together, and it is great to see Austin in the spotlight as a tech hub, an emerging tech hub in the U.S. and in the world. And a lot of Austin's success is because of the university, but also a lot of the university success is because of the city of Austin. So we really use the city of Austin and the university overall as a live laboratory for the experiential learning components of our MBA programs. So it is this great symbiotic relationship. The University of Texas at Austin is one of the biggest public research universities in the country. It has an incredible brand and following as well, and something that we really leverage with our students as it relates to the reach of our alumni network. The city of Austin is also a great place to live in, and we fully kind of exercise the opportunities to learn across the university, not only in the business school.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Rodrigo.
Awesome.
Yes, Shelly. Sorry, did I cut you off?
Great. No. Thank you, Rodrigo. That was fantastic. Yeah, Georgetown McDonough is located in Washington, D.C. We are in the heart of Georgetown University campus. Just a few miles walk, bike, or scooter to the nation's capital. I've lived here for, I don't know, goodness, about 11 or 12 years. And what I love about DC is how internationally eclectic it is. There's over 175 embassies in DC. We have people from all over the world. I think as an international student, when you come to DC, you don't know who lives here, who's a tourist here, who's here for a short time, who's here for education. Is very much a melting pot of people from around the world, which is really phenomenal. I love going on the metro and hearing languages that I've never even heard of before, and just the kind of rich educational and life experience that brings. Just to situate you where Washington, D.C. is, we're a three-hour train ride from New York, 2-hour drive from the beach, 2 hours from the mountains, an hour and a half from Philadelphia, a 45-minute flight from Boston. So definitely when you're looking to, network and meet alumni, go on job interviews, certainly very centrally located. Georgetown University was founded in 1789. So it's very much a mix of old and new. I think one of the benefits of doing the program is your access to the other graduate programs at Georgetown. So you can take classes, electives at the School of Foreign Service, School of Public Policy, medicine, law, when you're choosing from your 100 electives that are in the program. In terms of Washington, D.C., you don't have to have a car if you don't want to. If you choose to have a car, you certainly can. There's a lot of places where you can live and walk to school. And then, just immerse yourself in a great kind of quality of life, everything from cuisine to museums to Fortune 100, 500 companies to rowing to hiking, just a great place to spend 2 years. So that's a little bit about Georgetown and certainly Washington, D.C., and always super excited to speak about it.
Well, thank you, Shelly. I mean, both places sound so fascinating in their own special ways. And just out of my personal curiosity, are these two places very far away from each other, Austin and DC? I'm sorry, I'm really not very familiar with the geography of the US.
What is it, Rodrigo?
Yeah,
Maybe a 3.5
so
hour
they're
plane
not
ride?
that close. I wish they were a little
So,
closer. I'd see Shelly more often. So
you
she's,
know,
yes.
both great places. Both
I
great
would say that Austin is
places to
probably a
live.
Right.
little hotter than DC just because we're a little bit further south. So DC has probably more defined season. But again, both places to be in, both great places to visit. So if any of the folks that are
Mhm.
here watching and consider an MBA program, I think a great way to experience different schools is to come to the different campuses. And I would say visiting DC and Austin should be top of your list.
Mhm.
Mhm. Definitely.
Thank you for that. Okay, on to the next thing on our agenda. If you could tell us, each of you, a little bit about the programs, the MBA programs that your, schools offer. What really stands out most about the program in your school? Shelley, would you take that first?
Absolutely. So I'll speak a little bit about the full-time program. I think many of your students would be most interested in the full-time program. So it's a traditional 21-month full-time program. So you do your, first year primarily doing core. You do your second year primarily doing electives. We have over 100 electives to choose from, and we don't require you to choose a concentration. So it really allows you to say, okay, what are the skill gaps or areas of knowledge that I want to gain? And then you kind of customize your MBA there. So maybe you want to take some classes in technology and some in strategy, or maybe some in analytics and some in marketing. And so it really gives you a chance to customize that part. The summer between the first and second year, you do the traditional U.S. internship. So certainly, you'll start working with our Career Center starting in June before you begin the program at the end of July. So you will have to basically have a customized resume, accomplishments record, LinkedIn profile, everything that's ready to go has been approved and edited prior to even starting orientation, which is what we prefer to do so that students feel very confident after their first August term to be in front of employers. We had employers on campus, a huge career day last Friday, and we'll have them every Friday in the fall. And so you start working with us a few months prior to orientation. The end of our program, so fast forwarding closer to the second year, every student will complete a global business experience. So every student is required to, and I use the word required, although I think they're excited to do a consulting project with a company. So we go all over the world. Students will work with a company for 6 to 8 weeks. They are completing a scope of work. So when I did my MBA at Georgetown, I was consulting for Philips in Korea. They were launching a new healthcare product, and we had to create the marketing launch strategy for them. So it's any type of project like that, and we go all over the world. You do get to choose your location, and then you work for 6 to 8 weeks. You go to the country then for a week and present your consulting recommendations. I'll round out just by mentioning that, academics certainly are important. The career aspect is important, but we really value the entire MBA experience. So we have over 40 clubs to choose from, 350 board positions, case competitions, and then the entire ecosystem of Washington, D.C. that becomes a learning laboratory for your education, getting to experience some of the world's thought leaders that are coming in and out of our campus and out of DC that are a part of your education. So obviously I could continue to talk, but I certainly want to share the time with my colleague Rodrigo. So please share with us more,
Awesome. I
Rodrigo,
will
about
also,
McCombs.
like Shelly, focus on our 2-year full-time MBA program. It is 21 months. We start in a similar time frame, so in the fall. Though it's a little bit of misnomer because we actually start in August. So maybe we say we start in the hot fall. Your first semester is really focused on core classes. So we bring in a really diverse class of individuals with a variety of backgrounds. So it's really important for us to ensure that everybody has that core business knowledge as they enter the program. So your first semester is going to be really focused on taking core classes. You will have an opportunity to start tailoring your experience in the second half of the semester by taking a custom core class. From then on out, the majority of the program is really flexible and customizable. We have over 20 concentrations, and you are really able to pick and choose the classes that you take amongst those concentrations. Several of our concentrations are STEM certified, which allow you some additional time to work and play in the US after graduation. The most kind of popular areas of focus for McCombs are technology, finance, and marketing. So a lot of the classes that our students take tend to be in the intersection of those different functional areas. Similar to Georgetown, between your first and second year, you're going to be doing an internship either in Texas or somewhere in the US or the world. 99% of our students do a summer internship. Oftentimes, well, actually, depending on the area of the internship, students will may get full-time offers and be done with recruiting after that. But we do have several returning students from that internship searching for full-time positions. We have an amazing career management team that starts working with you even before school starts. We really pride ourselves in being an intimate program in a large university, so you're going to have a lot of one-on-one personalized help from academic advisor, career advisors as you tailor kind of your job search and get ready not only for the job right after business school, but then your career from then on out. We have a ton of experiential learning opportunities from leadership opportunities in student organizations. There are over 40 student organizations, so we have a highly active student community. But then also we have our McCombs leadership program, which entails opportunities for you to do micro consulting projects throughout your time in the MBA program. Oftentimes our students are doing that micro consulting project during their first semester. And it's important for career switchers to signal something in their resume as they enter the internship search. We also have an opportunity for students to work with executive and specialty coaches as part of that program, and then do a variety of trainings that are kind of more topic-based, short-term trainings. The curriculum is delivered either on Mondays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. You have Fridays off, but it's not really off because you're going to be doing a lot of your work in projects and interacting with companies that come visit campus on those Fridays. We have a mix of case-based and lecture courses. So we are not a case-based school only. Though there are some classes that are case-based only, the majority of our classes are a mix of both. And the last thing that I'll share is that we fully leverage the city of Austin as a place for you to put to practice what you're learning in the classroom. So with opportunity to work with large companies. So recently here in Austin, we've gotten headquarters like Tesla, Oracle, and big offices from Google, Meta, etc. But I think what makes Austin really interesting and vibrant is the small to mid-sized companies that make up our economic ecosystem. And our students have an opportunity to work with those companies in addition to the large ones as they're going through the program. So I think all in all, a great place to go to school.
Sure sounds like. Thank you, Rodrigo and Shelley. It sounds like for both schools, students are only limited by their imaginations when it comes to choosing what they want to do. The opportunities are endless. Lovely. So my next question, it's a highly anticipated question by our students, is talking about the day in the lives, if so to speak, in each of your schools. But to me, it sounds like it's going to be difficult to talk about one typical day simply because there's so much of opportunity and diversity in the sort of things that happen. But even then, if you could tell us about specific, particularly exciting classes or courses or internships, what have you, that students can really realize their days are going to be full of. Rodrigo, would you want to start with that?
Yeah, so like I think no day is the same, right? So I'm gonna try to maybe share what a day in a first year student would be going through their first semester. So maybe somebody that just arrived
Sure.
in the US and is going through the class. So during the first semester, the majority of our core classes are delivered between 8 and noon. So you're gonna get started your day early, maybe with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. We have some amazing coffee shops all over Austin, so it's really easy to stop by on your way in. We also have an amazing cafe. We have a brand new building here on campus that has some great food choices, so you can stop by and get your day started with something warm as you go into the classroom and experience those core classes. Over lunch, again, you can have lunch with your colleagues, maybe with a faculty member that's doing research in an area that's of interest to you. We have a highly accessible faculty. They're super smart, but super personable. So it's not uncommon for students to hang out with our professors after class, of course, during office hours, etc. I'll say the afternoon is pretty filled with doing classroom work. There is a great amount of team projects that take place, not only the core classes, but their electives as well. So you're going to be working in teams, tackling the homework for the class, maybe working and cracking a case together. But in the evenings, we have a lot of company info sessions, especially during that first semester. So it is not uncommon for our students to bring a change of clothes because it is quite warm in Austin. So you can use one of our suit lockers and then change in the evening to go interact with, one of the companies that might do an info session here. Austin is a great place to live. It's highly accessible, easy to get around. So it's also not uncommon for students to hang out around Austin after hard days of work, maybe walking around Town Lake, doing outdoor activities, going to one of the many restaurants here in place. And Austin is a great place for live music as well. So students can hang out and decompress somewhere fun after school. So that is kind of what maybe a typical day of a first semester student may look like here at UT Austin.
Exciting stuff. I'm almost thinking of applying myself now. Shelley, if you could tell us a little bit about Georgetown, the typical day in the life.
Wonderful. And I will confirm that McCombs does have phenomenal breakfast tacos. So I think anytime that I am there, I don't know if you're still serving them, but I go and get breakfast tacos in the building. So definitely we'll confirm that. Yeah, I mean, a day in the life. So kind of similar to Rodrigo, it's different every single day and week. There is a cadence, though, I will say. So we have a very unique August term. So our students actually start back at the very end of July. And then in August, we do 2 classes. So students will do leading teams for performance and impact, which is a 1-week class. We're taught by multiple professors, and it sets the stage for the rest of the program. So they are learning about how to give and receive feedback, how to manage your peers, because you're going to be managing people in the program that aren't, they don't report to you, but you're going to have to lead them. We talk about diversity and inclusion. We talk about implicit bias. We talk about the fact that, there are 40 countries coming together in this program, and how do we embrace that, but also learn and be most productive from this kind of cultural diversity. So that is the first week. It's a great intro to the program. And then we go into a 3-week intensive class called Structure of Global Industries. And when I say intense, I think students are shocked. They are on campus from 8 a.m., sometimes till 8 or 9 p.m. for 3 weeks. They will, in reflection, say that was the most intense part of my entire 2 years, but they will often say that was the best part. And that is because, they're doing a class where It's again co-taught by multiple professors. They are learning the tip of the iceberg of every subject in business, and then they're having to do a mock kind of global case study that ends in a competition. And if you imagine you've just been thrown into business school, you don't even know, like, what is a P&L statement? What is, supply chain things? And all of a sudden you're having to be in a team and solve a problem and then present. But what it does is it kind of gets people excited about some elements of business that they may not have known about. But it also bonds the cohort, because through long hours, through tough things, that's how you bond. And so our students bond with coffee, with tea, as Rodrigo was saying, with just being around each other. So that happens. It ends at the end of August. They get kind of a weekend pause, and then they start the regular semester. Classes are Monday through Thursday. Friday, there are no classes. Every Friday, as I kind of mentioned a little bit ago, is set aside for Career Day. So for example, this last Friday was Marketing Day. So we had 20 CPG companies on campus that were presenting to our MBA students. There were networking opportunities, there were alumni there. This Friday will be Consulting Day. We have Technology Day, we'll have Real Estate Day, we'll have Nonprofit Day. So every type of industry happens every Friday in the fall. They're optional, but it's a great way for students to test out things or industries that they may not know about or may just want to learn more about. So that's every Friday in the fall. But Monday through Thursday, classes are throughout the day, scattered depending on when your class schedule is. You do take classes with a cohort of 60 students for your first year. And in between classes, you're going to be going to club meetings. You're going to be prepping with your group for perhaps assignments. We have employers that come on campus typically at 5:30 at night. You're getting ready for case competitions that you're involved in. So you'll be tired by the time that you leave, but you will be fulfilled. So that is how the first year goes. There is an interesting element about our program that not many people know about. I feel like it's like the unsung hero of our program. And these are these intensive learning experiences. They are short-term, 1 to 2 week electives that happen between semesters. So at the very beginning of January or March around spring break or in the summer, and you get an entire elective knocked out in that short amount of time. And the name really is there for a reason. They're intense because they're short, and they're learning experiences because the classes aren't about quizzes and tests. They're about doing something experiential. So there could be a mobile app class where you literally create a mobile app in 2 weeks. It could be a startup class where you launch a business idea. It could be a digital media class where you're creating a media plan. So something that's very hands-on, that's group-based. And again, also students bond because they're with each other, 8 hours a day for these kind of ILEs. Let's see, when you get into your second year, it's basically all electives other than that global consulting project that I mentioned. And there is enough room in the second year if you want to do a second internship, or if you want to have kind of a part-time assistantship job, et cetera, which I know can be important for graduate students. So there's more flexibility to do also pro bono consulting with many different companies in DC or the Mid-Atlantic Northeast region. So I think that the key takeaway is that our students are busy on campus. It's an immersive experience, and they really value doing everything, taking advantage of all opportunities to really land them that job or that professional goal that they're hoping to achieve in the program.
Right. Thank you, Shari. That's a very comprehensive picture. I'm sure our students now really know what they're going to sign up for if they do. Moving on, if you tell us a little bit about the sort of facilities that our students, particularly those who are maybe planning to switch careers or pursue entrepreneurial interests, what sort of support do they get in your individual schools, Rodrigo? If you want to take that.
Yeah, sure. So from a facilities perspective, I think I shared a little bit earlier that we just built a brand new building that opened right before COVID. So it was a really interesting experience to build this great physical space, and then we all went partially remote. But I think one of the things that we didn't think about was how important technology was going to be in the learning experience. In a variety of different ways. Now that things are more back to normal, it is great to see the students and classes come together in the new building. It's a beautiful facility, and it really is in the intersection of campus between the university and the city of Austin. So it really serves as kind of the entry point, entryway into the campus. And to answer the second half of your question, um, it is a great place for students that are looking into entrepreneurship and innovation to learn. We have a ton of spaces for them to iterate with other students and have some of those more spontaneous idea moments and coming together and taking advantage of the infrastructure that the university has to really harness that entrepreneurship desire from our students. So I think one of the programs, we have like a whole half-day session around entrepreneurship and innovation resources at McCombs, at the university, and at the city of Austin. But I want to highlight kind of one of our premier experiences that's called Texas Venture Labs. The Texas Venture Labs office is in our building, so it's really nice because we see it every day. But what Texas Venture Labs is a way for our students to put themselves and immerse themselves in the startup space. So they can enter the program in two ways. One, they can bring their own business idea and have a group of MBA, engineering, law school students work with them in that business plan and bringing it to life. And it culminates in a case competition that happens in the spring, right around South by Southwest, which is this really great interactive innovation festival that happens here in the city of Austin. The other way that students can take a part on this experience is to be one of the students that volunteer to work on somebody else's business idea. So being part of that group that will work on somebody else's idea. But regardless of how you enter the program, it is a great way to really, again, put to practice what you're learning in the classroom, but then be in that space. For Shelly, I can see you just fine. I think she's timing out a little bit for me, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Perfect. So yeah, thanks for sharing. So I'll talk a little bit about the facility. So we are in the Rafiq B. Hariri building, which is our business fact is that we have one of the two largest auditoriums on campus. And so anytime we have a major speaker coming to Georgetown, which is fairly frequently, they're often in our building. And so there'll be Secret Service or there'll be security guards all of a sudden, and there'll be lines off the door, and it's right below our office space. So it's kind of fun, to kind of be a part of that energy. I think, the great thing about Georgetown's campus is it's medium sized, right? So it's not too overwhelming, but it does seem like a large university, and you have access to the other graduate schools. It looks like we've lost Reach Ivy for a little bit. Hopefully they'll pop back on. In terms of, career switching and entrepreneurship, we actually surveyed our this and 84% said that they were planning to switch their function or industry. And so hopefully that's comfort to some of you out there to know that it's okay. And honestly, if you are going to switch your industry or function, the MBA, a traditional MBA, is the best way to do that. And employers, it's completely acceptable to employers if you're switching, right? Because they know you're going to get a great experience in 2 years and a lot of skills that will allow you to switch. So if you are looking to switch careers, we do have a career clarification coach specifically in our career center that will work with you on what you're interested in. How can we connect you with alumni and companies to really find out if this is what you want to do? And then they provide the pathway and opportunities that you would get in our career center to be able to make that switch. Now, I will tell you, the craziest switches I've heard, but just to give you examples, I mean, we've had students go from being, a high school history teacher to working in Starbucks and brand management. So I think of Coral Taylor. I think of Chris Blank, who was working doing marketing for Sesame Street in New York, which sounds fantastic. But he wanted to switch into investment banking. So he came and did our MBA and switched into JP Morgan doing investment banking. Those are just two very extreme examples, but I'm sure Rodrigo would have them as well. There are a lot of examples out there of students who have made career switches. And with an MBA program and a top MBA program in the US, you can certainly do that. The last thing I'll follow up on is your question kind of about entrepreneurship and the startup world. So yes, we have an entrepreneurship initiative in the School of Business, but it is open to students from the university. So what you get to leverage students with all different backgrounds and skills, students coming from computer science and IT, students coming from the medical world or law world, all that are interested in entrepreneurship, and you all can form kind of these groups of knowledge for whatever company you might be looking to launch. So we have things called the Bark Tank competition. So think Shark Tank with a with our Jack the Bulldog barking dog mascot together, Shark Tank, Bark Tank, which is funded by a very large donor. So every year students get to pitch their ideas. It's funded with cash. We have entrepreneurs in residence that do what we call chalk talks. So I literally see them sitting in our building where students can schedule time to meet with them, and they come frequently throughout the year. We actually do have a venture lab as well. It's in partnership with WeWork, and it's in downtown near the White House. So we have a whole space carved out for our venture lab downtown at WeWork that students and alumni can leverage if they're at a further kind of stage of their business. One thing that I love is we have a startup fund. So it's very easy to be lured into the summer internship salaries and to just say, you know what, I'm going to go for internship and get paid on average $9,000 US a month. But if you're launching your business, then we have seed funding that will give you a salary so that you can really go pursue your passion and launch your business idea in the summer without feeling like you have to be compelled to go get that great internship salary. So just something to think about. Always ask those questions when you're at our schools is, how can I make this achievable for me? Because we want to launch you and provide a successful platform for you to launch your company. So lots of different ways to get involved.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Rodrigo. I feel like it sounds like both universities offer a ton of support for anybody with this sort of interests, which will definitely be a lot of help for our students in making their choices. When it comes to, the sort of class profile that your individual schools look for, what would you say the key points, the highlights are in terms of GRE scores or work experience or, diversity, that sort of thing? What would be important for our students who are applying there to know? Shelly, would you take that?
Yeah, definitely. So I would split it into a few components. One would be the evidence of academic acumen, right? So either looking at your test scores and or your academic undergraduate grades. We want to make sure that you're going to be successful in the classroom, but in particular the quantitative portions of the classroom. I would say, yes, you can find our average scores, but I would focus on the 80th percentile ranges. I think when people get too focused on that average, it causes a lot of stress. And not many people actually fall on the average. Most people fall below or above the average. So look at our academic profiles on our website and know that we accept the GMAT, the new GMAT focus, the GRE, even the executive assessment. We also do have, if you meet certain criteria, we have a test waiver. You do have to have completed the equivalent of a 4-year bachelor's degree. So it could be 4-year, it could be the 3-year plus 1 year. So, check our website for more information on that. In terms of work experience, you have to have a minimum of 2 years of full work experience post-undergrad when you start the program. I think that's fairly standard in the US. The average is 5 or 6. Just know that you are more marketable for a job post MBA if you are kind of in that 4 to 6 or 3 to 5 range. It's in your best interest, but you just have to have a minimum of 2. And then, we look for then, the grit, who you are, what you add to the classroom. We very much value diversity in all of its forms. So again, I mentioned we have 40 countries represented. We have 15 industries represented. If I had a US dollar for every time a person said to me, I'm a non-traditional MBA student, I would have lots of US dollars. You are not a non-traditional business student. Everyone is traditional because what makes up the beauty of an MBA program is the diversity of classroom conversation. And so, bring what your personal and professional life experiences have given you, come to the conversation and share that. And there's going to be some classes where you're the subject matter expert and you shine. There's going to be other classes where your peers are going to be the subject matter expert and you get to learn and listen from them. And I think that's really what's exciting about an MBA. If it's a school that you're really interested in, apply, meet with us like you're doing now, come and meet with our students, our alumni, get to know us, because the other thing we look for is demonstrated interest in the school in which you've applied. If I see a student who's applying to, let's say, 10 programs, they've never attended an event, they've never met with anyone from my school, they've never done anything, my first thought is, well, are they really interested, right? Versus someone who's attended a bunch of virtual events or has met with an alum or, has clearly done some interest. So you're doing the right thing right now by attending this webinar, and just know that we both of our schools have a lot of virtual events for you to attend, even if you can't travel to the US. So thanks.
Right. Thank you so much, Shelley. Rodrigo, would you say is it similar for McCombs? Would you say it's fairly different
No,
in terms of class profile
so
and what you do?
both the application process and what we look for in our students are really similar. I know Georgetown really well, and I think Shelley did a great job with kind of the overview of the different components of the application and what we look for in each. A couple things that maybe just to build on what Shelley said, instead of kind of repeating the full process, is really focus on their individual story. Something that Shelley said that really resonated for me, and I think it's true in both of our schools, is that we value who you are as an individual, and we value the diversity that comes together in our classroom, and that's extremely important, that classroom discourse. So oftentimes candidates will focus on the more quantitatively measurable aspects of the application, like test scores and GPAs and years of work experience. But I think for all of our admissions committee, what's important to bring together is your story. Why now is the right time for you to pursue your studies, and why are particular schools. So really hone in on the school research, as Shelley said, interact with us to learn what makes us different, and ensure that you're comfortable enough in putting forward the best application, and work with your support group to ensure that what you're putting together and presenting to the admissions committee is really a true representation of who you are inside and outside of work. You know, you're an individual that is not the person that's limited to a two-page resume, right? So make sure that we get to know you, who you are as a person overall, and maximize the different application components that we give you an opportunity to submit in making that story come to life.
Right. Thank you so much. It sounds like both schools really value the diversity of students, so that is definitely good news for a lot of our applicants. But having said that, I would want to ask a quick question about, the right fit, because of course not all students are the best fit for every program or every school out there. So are there specific traits or experiences or backgrounds that either of your schools really look for or zone into while selecting their applicants from their applicants? Rodrigo, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think something that we look for throughout the application process is someone's ability to work in teams. So there are a ton of team projects, and we have a highly collaborative environment. So it is really a friendly place. You're not going to be encountering a lot of sharp elbows here at McCombs. So you're going to encounter individuals that will stop what they're doing to help their classmate out, be it in a homework, be it in a job search. So demonstrating that collaboration, ability to work well in teams is really key. Texas as a state is known for a place where people will roll up their sleeves and get things done. So that aspect of, okay, I'll sit here and work on strategy and think about the direction of a business, but also having the ability to get to work and get things done is something that we look for. Our community is really kind of student-led and student-impacted. So the students' ability to come in and leave their mark in our community is something that we look for as well. And I think the third thing, I can only remember things in threes, so whatever examples I give is all gonna be in threes, is somebody's ability to receive feedback and grow from it. So having that growth mindset is really key. And we think the students that really thrive in our environment are the ones that come in, have an ability to help others, share what they've learned, but also keep an open mind for different viewpoints, explore different careers, and really kind of be a sponge and be able to learn and grow as they grow through the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Rodrigo. Shelley, what would you say are the specific traits that your school looks for in an applicant?
Yeah, very similar, I think to Rodrigo. We view this as an MBA experience, and so it is more than just coming and taking classes. We do encourage and, I think really expect students to find what it is that they want to leave their mark with and their niche. So maybe it is that they want to be a leader in a student club. At the end, you actually have the real probability of being on the board or being, president or vice president, because we have 250 students and 340 board positions. A board would be like a president of a club or a vice president. So students can come in and usually get one or two board positions in the community, which sets them apart from perhaps other much larger programs in the US where they're a number, they're on waiting list for everything. They want to see a speaker, they want to do this, they want to do that, and they're on constant waiting list. So I think students that embrace wanting to kind of be immersed in the community are do well. We also really allow students to help shape the program. And so if the student has a great idea and they pitch it, we often embrace it and say, yes, great. Is it a new club you want to launch? Or, for example, our international treks are student decided, student-led, and coordinated. So every year, our students go on treks, which is different than the global consulting experience that I mentioned. But this year, our students decided they wanted to go to Botswana and Zimbabwe. That's one trek that's happening, and another trek that's being led by students is to Tokyo. But every year are completely different cities and countries. but they lead them, and then they get a coalition of their peers that want to go. They coordinate with our Career Center to meet with dozens of companies, as well as set up alumni receptions. So it's just really a place where kind of, if you dream it, you do it. But it's also to give students that ability to maybe make that career pivot or try something they haven't tried before, or really hone their professional and personal leadership skills. So students that want to get involved, that are going to be on campus, but are also going to give back. There's a lot of opportunities when you're in your second year where we ask you to help coach and mentor the first years. So we have a peer mentors that work in the Career Center that will coach first years on their internship process, both the application process, but these second years just got back to their internship. So they're able to say, look, if you're going to Google, you're going to Amazon, you're going to, Meta, JP Morgan, whatever, this is what my internship was like. And these are the, yes, I worked for that boss too. That boss is hiring you. Yep, I just worked with them. These are the things that you can do to be successful. So we have this kind of Hoyas helping Hoyas mentality of giving back. And we really expect our second years to do it with our first years. We also have alumni mentors, right, that we encourage and expect to mentor our MBA students as well. So we do look for a spirit of giving back and community that really embodies our Jesuit philosophy of care of the whole person and care of the whole community. And then I would say the same thing. Like, this is not a program where people are ripping pages out of your textbook so that they can get a better grade in the class. And the reason for that is that our students have diverse career interest. So they are not inherently competing against everyone in class for the same companies. And our students, certainly our top student, or the top industries that our students are going into are finance, consulting, and technology. But then after those top three, it gets very diverse, and students are going into all different industries. And so the person sitting to the right of you in class may be going to real estate, maybe you're going to technology, and the person sitting to the right of you is going to consulting. So you're not trying to compete with each other, and that creates a more positive environment where people are just more willing to help each other. So yeah. And then lastly, I'll end with grit. Our students are coming in similarly ready to roll up their sleeves and just get the job done. They're very busy. They're taking full advantage of these 2 years, and then it goes quick, and they're looking back on it and wish they could do it all over again.
Thank you so much, Shelly and Rodrigo. Those were, I hope, our students have been taking notes because that's a lot to remember for sure. So about the applications process itself, of course, the details are mostly available on the internet, and our students can go do their own research. But two questions here. Is there any particular part of the applications process that you would recommend our students pay most attention to, be that their statements of purpose, or the interview, or any of that? And the second thing is a question specifically about reapplicants, those who have applied and not gotten through in an earlier year and want to try again. What is your advice to them? What would you say? Rodrigo, would you go first?
Yes, so I will tackle the first question first. So it is a holistic review of the application and application components that you submit. I would say that a lot of applicants in the early stages of their MBA exploration tend to focus on test scores, which take a lot of work if you're going to be taking, the GMAT, GRE, executive assessment, GMAT focus. It does take time to prepare for it, so it's important to think about it early on. But then I would say don't forget about the other components, specifically the ones that help you tell your story. Like for us, an application cover letter, so a lot of schools use the essay, but also the opportunity for you to speak to the admissions committee and tell your story. So for us, we have a video assessment that's available to all applicants that submit their applications to McCombs, as well as a peer interview with a current student. So those two components are available for everyone, and we highly encourage everybody to take advantage of it. But prepare for it and take the time to get it ready as you would an exam, right? So think about the story that you're going to be telling us, connecting the dots on your application process. So I would say that an often neglected part in the application process is towards the tail end, which might be the video assessment and interview combination. And I don't know if it's because at the tail end, everybody's like, all right, I hit the submit button, my application is in there, I'm like completing. So push it through the finish line. And show us that enthusiasm that you have to pursue your MBA studies and pursue those MBA studies in our individual schools. And just to really quickly touch on the reapplications, we welcome reapplications. We see a lot of success with reapplicants. Many schools, including McCombs, have a reapplicant specific essay where you just highlight what has changed since the last time you applied. And then you have all of the real estate and the other application points to put your best foot forward. Work with our teams as you're putting together that reapplication. We're happy to help reapplicants put together the best reapplication possible, and definitely encourage individuals that did not get admitted before to apply to McCombs and to other schools.
Thank you, Roderick. Over to you, Shelley.
Yep. Definitely. We also encourage reapplicants. You know, if you were not admitted in a previous year, we do reapplicant coaching. So please reach out to us. Happy to provide feedback about your application and how to make it stronger. I think for successful reapplicants, we want to see that you've taken steps to update or make some type of demonstrated change to your application. If it's just a copy and paste, it makes it seem like maybe maybe aren't interested or aren't caring as much about your application. So make some demonstrated updates in your reapplicant essay. Talk about what you've done over the last year to improve your candidacy, or what's frankly changed in your personal and professional life. And then in terms of your application, you know, yes, the test scores are the most time consuming, but it's just one component of your application. I would really, given, you know, many international students will not come and do an interview in person. Most will be virtual. Really practice what I call like kind of the virtual handshake, where you're giving a first impression virtually. So, you know, if you're in person, the first time your interviewer sees you, you smile, you give out your hand, you have a strong handshake, and you kind of break the ice. So how do you recreate that virtually? And a lot of times it is kind of breaking the ice in the beginning part of the conversation, or if you're not a natural smiler, you may have to smile a little bit, right? So like, see, I'm like smiling. It seems a little unnatural as I'm doing it right now, but you've got to think of ways to kind of have that virtual handshake and make a good first impression. And then also try to relax. You know, I know it's hard in the virtual interview to seem relaxed, but just have a natural conversation with us. We're trying to see how you will be in the classroom, like how you would be in a conversation with an alum or an employer. And so we're not trying to grill you. It's not meant to be intense. We just want to get to know you. But also know that at least at some schools, the interview is short. It may be 20 or 25 minutes. And so we kind of want to learn as much about you as we can in those 20 to 25 minutes. So think about how to make your answers concise. Think about how to use what we call, you might have heard like the STAR format or the PAR format. So STAR is, you know, situation, task, action, result. Try to stick to and you can Google these to get more information, but try to stick to a methodical way to answer a question so that we can, you know, ask a good number of questions and get to know you. And then also we want to be able to leave time for you to ask us questions as well. So as Rodrigo said, study for an interview like you would study for a test, but then just relax, get to know us, have a great conversation. And then I will also say, you know, close the deal. At the end of the virtual interview, tell us why you want to come to our school. Like, give us 2 or 3 reasons. Tell us you're excited to be admitted. Leave a lasting impression, just like you came in with a great first impression.
All right. Thank you, Shali. Of course, all of this is particularly relevant in the context of an MBA interview, but I think the point about the virtual handshake, a lot of us could definitely keep working on that on a day-to-day basis, given our remote nature of work. Okay, so we're nearing the end of our conversation today. So to wrap it up with two quick questions. One about career support. Now, both of you have mentioned throughout our conversation several times on how it's fairly intensive and often career support begins before orientation day even. So my question here is that is there anything very specifically aimed at international students, people who are coming from, let's say, my country, from India, and who are not necessarily very used to the sort of placements and employment opportunities in the States, or even students who maybe plan to return to their home countries once they're done with their program. So anything that you have with them in particular in mind
Yeah,
for both schools?
yeah,
Rodrigo?
I know we're a little bit over time, so I'll do it really quick. So for international students, and I'm originally from Brazil, so I'm kind of, I think, very in tune when it comes to the international student experience and knowing how hard it is to leave your home country and come kind of experience a new place. And we have incredible support for our international students around academic advising, career advising, but also peer advising. So all three levels. And I would say that our international students have a lot of avenues to engage with us and raise their hand if they need help, but also they can expect to be checked on quite a bit as well as they arrive on campus and start to kind of this journey in a new unfamiliar place for many different folks. So I'll keep it short.
Mhm.
Thank you, Shelley. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We, in addition to the normal orientation for all students, we have a separate day just for international students to provide them more space to kind of learn and acclimate. We really focus with our international students on learning how to kind of do the US style of networking. Networking is a common term that's used over here all the time. And so what does that mean? How do you network? What's your elevator pitch? Making sure you have a LinkedIn profile, like all of these things. So that you ease right in to it as much as possible. At McDonough, we're also a very international school. I mean, a third of our faculty have international passports. Again, 40 countries, over close to half of our students are international, and it's a very global city. So you will soon acclimate, and we provide the resources to do so. But just know that you also have an entire community of peers that want to see you succeed. We wouldn't have admitted you if we didn't think you could be successful or that we could help you to achieve those goals. So we've got your back. We're going to support you all the way through to end with a lot of resources to do so.
Thank you. And the other very big concern that a lot of international students have is about financial aid. So are there specific scholarships or spaces where international students can look for aid from for either both your schools?
I'll just say all students are considered for international, or all students are considered for scholarships. Everything that you include in your application will be considered. If you are admitted, you would also find out at the time of admission if you receive scholarships. There's also great partnership organizations out there, third parties that you can look into. Empower, Prodigy, Juno. There's a lot out there. Not saying we specifically endorse them at Georgetown, but there's a lot out there. So apply early so you can start the conversation early. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't wait until like late spring to be applying, because funds are limited and our ability to just work with you, it's
Same
short.
same thing that Shelley said to McCombs.
So definitely applying early is a major advantage when it comes to financial aid. Perfect. Thank you for your time, both of you. Sorry for overshooting a little bit. And we've come to an end for today's talk. Any parting words of advice that either or both of you would have for our students as we close today's talk?
I will say, doing an MBA or any graduate management education degree is an investment in your life that will only give dividends over the rest of your life. It is something that you will not regret. It is something that will open doors for you in the future that you won't know until you've done it. And when you're coming to a top program like Rodrigo's or I's, you're going to get the resources that will allow you to achieve those goals. So if you're trepidatious about you're thinking, oh, I don't know, talk with us. We're going to walk you through this, and we'll be talking with you 5 years from now, and you'll be so glad that you did it, and you'll be at a different point in your life
And I think
professionally.
my kind of lasting advice is I hope through this interaction that you have with us, you see that we're highly accessible. Both Shelly and our teams are here to support you in this journey, in this application process. So even though you may be kind of half a world away, it is really easy to connect and ask questions, and don't be afraid to reach out to us as you navigate the application process and explore different business schools.
Thank you. That is very encouraging, and I'm sure you're going to get questions from our students now that you've opened up that invitation. Thank you for both of your time, and it's been a very enlightening evening, and I'm glad we could make this work.
Thank you.
So we'll see you around some other day. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, you too.
Bye.